So we're talking about CarbMelt and LipoMelt. There's been a lot of questions about how you use them together, what are they, and how effective are they. So I'm sure there's a lot of skepticism, that is there a pill? Is there a quick fix? Is there a weight loss pill? And this is one of the most exciting things that I've come across in my practice in over 20 years. So we've been using the knowledge is power, empowerment, information, sharing with people for many, many years. So for almost 20 years, I've been educating and empowering people through hormone balance, through decrease in food sensitivity. So this is a beautiful combination of things that this is not a quick fix. There is some dietary changes you have to make, but it's like I was talking to a patient today, life happens. You're gonna eat carbs, you're gonna eat fat, and even though you get through your 21 days of changing up your diet and decreasing foods that cause inflammation, which are sugar, of course, you're still gonna eat carbs, you're still gonna eat fat. So this is to help you have this sustainability.
Plus you need carbs, right? I mean, for energy and especially if you're working out and stuff like that. But
absolutely,
I know especially in America, we like to overdo it on the carbs. So this is definitely something that will help with that.
Yeah.
And
and even the sustainability, you get through this and you decrease the foods that cause inflammation. We've got lots of videos and information. We're going to share with you the meal plan when you buy the CarbMelt and the LipoMelt or just the CarbMelt. It comes with a meal plan. It's really simple to follow. It's, you're not hungry. There's plenty of things that you can eat on there. A lot of it is meat and vegetables, but there's a fair amount of fruit and stuff like that. So those carbs that you do eat, we're trying to keep them from getting absorbed. So,
and even without the meal plan or the meal strategy, it's something that still helps tremendously. Yeah. This is just kind of something to help, just basically make the benefits of taking this even better.
Yeah.
Because you could be taking it with a crap diet and it would still help, but obviously you want to maximize, especially if you're going to actually take the time and the money to buy something. You want it to work as efficiently as possible. So
absolutely, And these products have peer-reviewed journal articles out of JAMA, multiple others, and we'll put some links on the website. So these aren't just fly-by-night type supplements. These ingredients have been studied extensively, and these are not by big pharmaceutical companies who have everything to gain by you not using them, and they've been used for many, many years. And the meal plan and the anti-inflammatory diet that we've used for many, many years and seen great results. We just had some patients in today that lost about 15 pounds just using the diet alone. But we like to call it a simple meal plan and not a diet because it really is just eating healthy, basically. So anyway, I'm just going to start with CarbMelt. My pen's not working so good. There it goes, CarbMelt. And what is that? So we call it CarbMelt. What it's actually doing is it's decreasing the absorption of sugar into the bloodstream. And it does that by preventing the breakdown of starches from turning into sugar. So when you eat anything like a potato or you eat bread or anything like that, which we don't recommend, and part of the meal plan is avoiding those types of things as well, just for lots of reasons. Gluten's very inflammatory and things like that. But what happens is as the carbohydrates go into the system, they get broken down in what they call phase 2. There's a phase 1 and phase 2, but phase 2 is actually when the sugar starts to get broken down by enzymes. And so what happens is if we were to look at this is the stomach of a person, esophagus, this is the stomach, and this is the small intestine. What happens is in the small intestine, your pancreas, which also secretes insulin, which helps with insulin sensitization, basically secretes pancreatic enzymes into the intestines. So there's different kinds of enzymes. Some enzymes actually break down fat, and we call those lipases. Still messing up a little bit. And then some break down sugar, and we call those, not working. Sugars, we call those amylases. And then protein, and we call those proteinases. So what this CarbMelt actually does is it blocks this amylase. So the sugar's not broken down, and then you just excrete it out through the bowels.
Yes, I was about to ask. I know I asked you this earlier. If your body's not breaking it down, because that sound like, you know, in layman's terms, it sounds like it's not a good thing, but apparently it is a good thing, because I guess when it's breaking it down, it's turning it into sugar or turning it into fat or whatever. Or
well, it's basically blocking the absorption, so it just goes right through the GI tract, and you just excrete it.
So like you said earlier, so if it doesn't process like that, where does it go? You poop it out?
You poop it out, yeah. So basically, you just poop it out.
Okay.
At first, you might have a little bit of gas and bloating with this, so I just want to tell everybody that. Maybe a little bit of loose stool, but you'll adjust to it within the first couple of times taking it, and your body will be okay. They came out with many years ago a fat blocker that they used to put in potato chips, and it was called Olestra, and people got a lot of gas and bloating and diarrhea with that. Our LipoMelt is not that, because that caused extreme side effects for people. A lot of diarrhea, orange oil, you know, it was gross. So
The LipoMelt or the CarbMelt?
This was a
You just
fat
said our
blocker that was used years ago. Our LipoMelt is not an enzyme blocker.
Gotcha.
It is actually a hormone facilitator. So it's very different, because now with sugar, we're actually blocking that enzyme, but we're not going to go for the lipase in our LipoMelt. We're doing this differently, because I've learned through years of experience, my own personal experience. I won't even tell you about those fat blockers that used to be available. They went by Xenical and different things, but they also put it in the potato chips, caused a lot of gas and bloating and diarrhea.
Did any of those, are any of those not legal anymore?
Oh no, they're still used.
Okay, they are.
The side effects are huge though. So when we put this together, we wanted to use, it's fine to use a amylase blocker. Lipase blocker is not good. It's like if you've had your gallbladder taken out, your gallbladder makes bile, which breaks down fat, and people will get diarrhea from that. So we don't want those side effects. We want to make this as easy as possible without bad side effects. We want to make it where you just feel good.
So one of the things that we talked about earlier is the CarbMelt, and how one of our products is digestive enzymes, which is something good to take for the digestive process, especially when you're eating foods that you are sensitive to. But with this, you don't want to take digestive enzymes, right? With the CarbMelt?
Right, because that would actually kind of counterbalance blocking this amylase.
So if you are somebody who's a patient of ours who's doing that, that's, you'd want to replace that with this. So.
And a lot of times we use those digestive enzymes as we're healing the gut, which is a whole nother process, which we'll explain, later in some different videos. And we've talked about that on some of our shows and stuff before. So this is just for people really who just kind of want to jumpstart their weight loss and want to maximize what they're doing. And like you said, even if they don't follow the meal plan, this is still going to help. The effectiveness of this from these peer-reviewed journal articles that I've seen are like 20 to 30% sugar glucose reduction. And so that's significant for weight loss. So we're not talking like maybe 1% or 5% like some supplements do for weight loss. So these are significant. So what happens is, this is called an alpha amylase, which is this enzyme. It's an alpha amylase inhibitor. And what happens is really cool, and I've actually noticed this. I always play around with the supplements and things that I recommend, see how it feels, see about the side effects, and I don't really need to lose any weight right now. But what I noticed is I crave sugar a lot, and I work out a lot, and I keep my hormones balanced, but I still crave sugar a lot. And as I'm aging, and with menopause, I just turned 50, so as with menopause, our hormones start declining, and so I just found my insulin is not working as well, which is another hormone it's a hormone secreted by the pancreas, so they're closely related. It's all connected. Is that my insulin sensitivity has gone down. I have more insulin resistance. I eat sugar. I want to go to sleep immediately. I want to take a nap.
That crash.
So what this actually does is it prevents that crash. And what I've noticed is the last few days taking our new product is that I don't crave sugars anymore. Because what happens is when you eat sugar, especially at breakfast time, so I never recommend eating breakfast at
like a sweet thing at breakfast.
Wait till about noon to start eating any kind of carbohydrates. So have straight up protein. We have protein shakes and things like that you can get. But what happens is over the course of the day, if you eat sugar first thing in the morning, you get this sugar spike, and then what happens is insulin comes to decrease that sugar in the bloodstream, so you get this dip. So this is baseline, you get this dip, and now you have low blood sugar. Now the body is telling you there are other hormones that tell you, well, eat more sugar. So now you get this, you eat more sugar, you get this spike, and then you get this dip again. So when you're not eating sugar throughout the day because you're not craving it, because you're not getting these low blood sugars, then you kind of get this just kind of even level here. And you don't crave it all day long because you're not constantly chasing that with your insulin levels.
It's like the sugar drug. You know, it's like the withdrawal. It's like, oh, I got to give myself more.
Yeah.
Withdrawal again. Yeah.
And sugar is one of the most addictive substances in the brain. They have done many thousands of studies showing that it lights up the areas of the brain that cocaine or heroin or any other super addictive drug that crashes. More so than those drugs. It's just so addictive. You know, we did a show on sugar, and it's interesting, the consumption of sugar in the U.S. used to be 2 of those little C&H pink bags of sugar. Now it's 72 in a year. We consume literally 70 times what we used to annually. So it's crazy. So this will make the sugar companies mad. But this will decrease your cravings and let you just get through your day without those crashes and getting tired and just feeling bad. So super important. So the other thing I want to mention is if you have high cholesterol, this will also help your cholesterol levels. If you're diabetic, be careful if you're on insulin because it will lower your blood sugars. It won't lower your blood sugars if you're not diabetic to the point where it's dangerous. But if you are diabetic, it's actually going to help you. So that's a good thing. And high triglycerides, which are the sugary part of your lipid panel, it will also improve those as well. So many benefits, as well as increasing your energy levels. There's also something in there besides the alpha amylase inhibitor, which is the potent ingredient. And you will see that it says proprietary blend on there because there are multiple things from the basically from the plant that are put from the white kidney bean extract that are put in there, and the way they put that together is our little secret, but it's basically white kidney bean extract. Now people would say, well, I'll just eat white kidney beans. You could not eat enough white kidney beans. It's kind of like resveratrol. You get that from red wine. You'd have to drink 3 cases of wine a day to get enough resveratrol to have anti-inflammatory effects.
Just like any supplement, vitamin D. I mean, you can, whatever, you can eat foods with those in it, but it's like,
you're
good luck.
Gonna get what you need. So that's what's in there. And then also another ingredient is fennel seed. You've probably heard of fennel before. And in the fennel seed, basically there are ingredients in the fennel seed extract that increase something called melatonin, which helps you sleep better. And melatonin kicks up really at bedtime with the dark, so it's not going to make you tired during the day. But when you sleep better, that actually decreases a hormone called ghrelin, which makes you hungry. And the opposite of ghrelin is leptin, which makes you feel full. And leptin actually can help with weight loss as well because you feel full, you don't want to eat more, and it actually helps mobilize some fat cells, which we'll talk about in just a minute. Nice tie-in. And the other thing is there's about 25 milligrams of potassium in the CarbMelt. Some people, that's my abbreviation for potassium. Some people have asked me, do I need the LipoMelt and the CarbMelt together? No, you don't. You can just use the CarbMelt. But if you are going to use the LipoMelt, you really need the CarbMelt because the CarbMelt has potassium in it.
So with the LipoMelt, you need the CarbMelt, but with the CarbMelt, you don't need the LipoMelt.
And so that's really why we've kind of pushed CarbMelt.com because as a standalone, it's fine. But if you're going to use the LipoMelt, you probably need the CarbMelt with it. And the reason for that is because the LipoMelt kind of acts as a diuretic. So you get faster effects as well because you're losing some water.
You're losing vitamins?
No, you're just losing, it's a diuretic. So you're just losing water. Okay. Which also, if you're working out, as you know from your working out competitions and stuff, dehydration actually helps the muscles work harder and shred and build better. So LipoMelt also helps build muscle as well. So I think we'll just probably break on into LipoMelt and kind of talk about what that is just a little bit. So I'll make just a kind of new line here. So with LipoMelt, this is a form of licorice, black licorice. It really, it's funny because the CarbMelt actually with that Fennel in there kind of tastes more like licorice than the LipoMelt does. But this is a licorice flavonoid isolate. So they've pulled out, again, it's one of those things you couldn't get enough of the white kidney bean extract ingredient, the alpha inhibitor, as like with LipoMelt. You couldn't just eat licorice because people would be like, why don't I just eat licorice? It's not, and I'm talking like the real licorice. I'm not talking
not the
about
candy.
Twizzlers.
Right.
From the movies.
Right.
Yeah, so the licorice flavonoid is actually abbreviated LFO, so you'll see that in the research. And what this does is fat oxidation, which is what we were talking about earlier. You're born with all the fat cells you're ever going to have. They're different because you turn over new ones. But as the fat breaks down, what happens is as you, quote, lose weight, the fat is breaking down into carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, and you actually blow it off as CO2, and the fat cells shrink when you don't have the toxins. And actually, LFO is an anti-inflammatory, so it helps reduce toxins, and it goes really well with our anti-inflammatory simple meal program because it's decreasing the inflammation as well. So that helps the fat cells shrink down. And then as you blow off the CO2, there's really nothing for the fat cells to hang on to. Especially with menopause, over the age of 40 or perimenopause, as the estrogen starts to decline, these phytoestrogens, which are not the dangerous estrogens that cause breast cancer. There's different types of estrogen, and we've talked about that on many, many shows. But these phytoestrogens actually can do things like decrease hot flashes and improve energy levels as well as sleep and decrease the weight through these different mechanisms as well. So anyway, this is called a peroxisome gamma, basically PPAR is what this is abbreviated as, and what
this is another ingredient.
Yeah, no, this is the product in the licorice that actually does the oxidation. So I won't go into all the science behind fat oxidation, but it breaks it down into that CO2 so that you can then blow it off. Now they do recommend some light exercise. It's kind of like those tanning shots. You have to get out of the tan just a little bit to make it activate. So you do have to get a little bit of movement, but that could be just taking a walk around the block. That could be just your regular movement throughout the day, but
almost feel like you were actually doing more than that. It would actually, because of what this does, your body would think that you're actually
exercising heavily. And so also it serves as I want to just get these in, anti-inflammatory. I think I said that. Good for menopause, and it actually helps the adrenals. So if you have something called adrenal fatigue or you're tired all the time, it can actually activate more, help with inflammation through cortisol pathways. So I won't go into all the hormone stuff that it can do, but it's perfect for somebody, especially a postmenopausal woman, because it really works well with the hormones. So it's just a great lead in. And again, you're getting potassium in here. This works as a little diuretic. So it's just going to keep everything balanced. So they're great together. I think that's all I had on that, but they're just super exciting. Again,
CarbMelt.com.
CarbMelt.com. We've used similar ingredients, but this is the first time we've actually had them formulated and made them available. So, and we're changing some of our packaging as well. So it's going to be just a beautiful journey. We have lots of other exciting stuff coming up. We have cellulite melt coming up, and we have a whole program with that. So lots of fun stuff.
Everything you need to get you ready for the summer and for that nice little two-piece that you've been wanting to wear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or the Speedo for all you men out there. We've got that. We'll get you ready for that too.
We've been calling this the 12 and 12 program, losing about a pound a week over 12 weeks. I really think that these two together, you'll lose much faster than that. We don't want you to lose huge amounts, or you'll have loose skin, and then you'll need to go get.
It also depends on where you're starting, because if you have a lot of weight to lose, you could lose 12 pounds in a week. You know what I mean? But if you've got only 12 pounds that you need to lose, then it may take you a little bit longer. But one a week is totally doable if that's the case for you. So these are getting both of these will definitely help with that process. in a big way, and you see those results and those changes, even with minimal change to your diet and exercise program. So
super cool. So CarbMelt.com. We actually have a Facebook page now. Oh my gosh, my pen is like being crazy. Check us out there and get started. We have so much more coming and so much information we want to share, but I want to make sure you had some of this nerdy science down so you understand what it is you're getting into and what you're doing and what you're committing to. It's exciting, it's simple, and it really not only helps with weight loss. I always say you don't lose weight to get healthy, you get healthy to lose weight. So this is kind of a quick start and kind of a backdoor to
getting that process going.
Expediting that process.
Definitely.
Awesome. Thanks for watching, guys. We love you very much and wish you a very blessed and healthy and sexy body life. So